Now it's my pleasure to introduce the moderator for our next panel, Dr. Lenore Behar. Lenore comes to us from North Carolina. She is a psychologist who for 22 years was the director of children's mental health in the state of North Carolina. Has been involved on a national leadership role in many, many activities over many years and has just been a tremendous contributor to A-STAR. Lenore.
Thank you, Bob, and good morning. About 5 years ago, Bob Friedman called me and said he had just gotten interested in some new sets of problems and wanted to know if I would join him in this work. And he began to describe some of what you heard this morning. I said I was very interested, and what I did that evening is I went to Google and I typed into Google, "I'm having trouble with my adolescent son." Fortunately, my son is in his 40s and has grown up nicely, but I used this to enter this new world of treatment that I knew nothing about. Google directed me to a website, several websites of residential programs that had checklists of what the problem might be. I filled out a checklist and submitted it, and I went to bed. Got up the next morning and saw that by 6 o'clock I had several responses from programs that thought they could be very helpful to my son. And by 11 o'clock, I had a phone call from a parent who said that this particular program had saved her son's life and that she could give me testimony from 25,000 parents who also had been saved, the lives of their children had been saved by participating in this program. And she went on to tell me how I could mortgage my house if I couldn't afford to pay, and so on. By 11:15, when I hung up from this phone call, I was convinced that there was a very serious problem that I had known nothing about. There was a whole other world of treatment for children that I had been unaware of. In my 40-plus years of working in children's mental health, both as a consultant and as the director of children's mental health services in North Carolina, I had closed several residential programs in several states, but I had never been exposed to, I'd never seen or even imagined the kinds of problems, the kinds of abuses that you're going to hear about today. I mean, I know how hard it is to run a good program, but I was just shocked by what I had learned since then. Today you're going to hear from 5 people who have had first-hand experience with abusive programs, and I want to introduce them to you. At the end of the table is Paul Lewis, whose son Ryan died after 6 days in a wilderness program. He's testified before Congressman Miller's Committee on Education and Labor with a very compelling testimony. At the other end of the table is Crystal Manganero, who is an advocate whose son Matt died 9 days after entering a wilderness program. And then here is Catherine Whitehead, Chris Narosky, and Nick Gallia, 3 young adults who have survived very, very difficult situations in residential programs, and they're going to talk about those as well. Kat, as you heard, Catherine Whitehead, is one of the founders of CAFIDI. Chris is a college student, and Nick is a filmmaker, and he has been kind enough to bring free copies of his film. It's a very professional film that has been in several film festivals, and you can pick one up on the way out if you want, and if we run out of them, he will send one to you if you give him your name. I want to thank the 5 panel members for coming here to share their experiences, to discuss their darkest hours, so that we can better understand the very serious problems of abusive residential programs. You will hear, and I think you will be shocked, you will hear that these programs had very poorly trained staff, despite what they may have on their program description about the qualifications. The people who were face-to-face with these young teenagers were very poorly trained. and these programs use techniques that no professional would consider appropriate. They violated the youth's rights, the parents' rights, human rights, all in the name of therapeutic intervention and treatment. The two parents on this panel sent their sons to wilderness programs, different wilderness programs in different parts of the country, as you will hear, with the best of intentions, as did the parents of Kat, Chris, and Nick. The 5 sets of parents and the youth themselves were led to believe that their problems were so serious that residential treatment was essential, that the program was exactly right for these youth, and they expected the programs which claimed expertise in treatment of very troubled youth to offer help, not hurt. Today, we've brought together parents of children who have suffered and died, youth who are survivors, professionals, advocates, to form a partnership to prevent abuse in residential programs and to ensure that families can find effective and appropriate and safe treatment for their children. We hope you will join us in this mission and that the testimony of these people will convince you of the very importance of this work. Let's turn to our panelists today and have them talk to you about their experiences. We're going to start with Paul.